Good evening, greetings, and welcome from inside the MacArthur Center in St. Petersburg, Florida. This is a live presentation of Sunshine State Conference basketball on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network. Ryan Housestead and Nate March coming to you from the campus of Eckerd College, where it's the battle for the Bay. The Tritons hosting the University of Tampa Spartans. Eckerd coming in at 13-4 overall, tied for third in the SSC at 6-3. UT is 9-8, 3-6 in the conference, but dangerous enough to be a pest to anyone, as we saw early in the season at Eckerd's Thanksgiving Classic, as Tampa actually knocked off the Virginia Union team that dealt the Tritons their first loss of the season.
You know, it's kind of an anomaly. You look at this Tampa team, and they come in and you say they've got talent. They got an explosive score, especially Anthony Gamble, one of the leading scorers in the conference, and they've got the talent, but just never seems like they can put a full 40 minutes together to be in that top half of the league. And you wonder, where does that breakdown happen? Is it a mental thing? Is it the coaching aspect? Obviously Coach Schmidt is pretty much a fixture at the University of Tampa in his 36th season, but at the same time you watch sometimes the way the players interact, and they feel disconnected at different times, especially with their body language. But you said it, they can beat any team, and you look at their scores, they've been in every ball game. So that 9-8, 3-6 record is not as, don't judge the numbers. If you look at the scores, look at the stats, this is a team that can win any night they play.
They hung around at Nova Southeastern, were in it right to the end against Lynn last time out, but have lost 4 of 5 coming into this one. Eckerd, meanwhile, in their 2-game road trip preceding this, lost a hard-fought game at Florida Southern, then turned around and had to really gut out a low-scoring win against Embry-Riddle. Drushawn McLaurin playing Superman down the stretch to will the Tritons to victory.
Well, this is the time of the year where you're going to start finding guys you can go to. Drushawn's been that player for practically 4 years, and you just see that opportunity, and big players make big plays, and a great out-of-bounds play for Coach Ryan drawn up out of the timeout, and a mid-range jumper knocked down, and big players make big plays. And the Triton team, they got to stay consistent, and this is the time where they're trying to get some separation, but just got to maintain that consistency as they finish up January and head to the final stretch of the regular season.
Drushawn never ceasing to amaze. He's averaging 19 points and 8 rebounds per game. That's not a surprise. He's basically done that from the moment he set foot here. But losing T.Y. from last year's team, I said there's just no way that Drushawn will be able to score as efficiently as he did last year. And he's so close to it. He's still shooting 49% despite having to carry, the load without having a true 1A option next to him offensively.
Well, I think what you're seeing is it's kind of been a little bit of a committee, but the fact that the Tritons do have so much depth that they've been able to see players, open up driving lanes or scoring opportunities. Myron Hagan shooting tremendous from outside, and he's stretching the floor and really kind of filling that role that T.Y. had last year. Marco Baori, obviously a phenomenal talent, does a little bit of everything, just a stat stuffer across the line. We'll call him a 5-tool guy if you're looking at using a baseball term for him. And of course you've got some other players that have come in, like Marquise Gilbert and Kiko Stavrev. These are all guys that if you plug them in, they can have a night where they go and really help balance that scoring and maintain the attention so that Drushawn can continue to put in his outburst and his scoring load.
An important trend to keep an eye on is that Marco has more than doubled his season output of three-pointers over the last 3 games. Really started with that Rollins game, in which, coming in, he was shooting 23% from 3 on the season, wound up hitting, I believe, 5 of them in that come-from-behind win for the Tritons. And so, we knew this season he would have to shoulder a larger load, and as has been typical for Marco over the course of his career, at times he has seemed reluctant to shoulder that load at the offensive end, but just as he did in the second half of last season, he has been stepping up and looking for his shot in big moments in the last few games.
Well, he's capable. As a scorer in high school, he was capable, knocked down, shot the ball well over 38% as a high school senior, one of the best seniors in Pinellas County. And you're right, but it's one of the things that's a testament about his stamina. He's the engine that never quits. And when you look at it, he's leading the team in minutes and just makes little plays that also oftentimes doesn't. And you kind of see him accelerating, getting better as the season goes, where so many other players kind of hit that wall. And so that's just another excellent point about his capability as a senior leader on this team.
Anthony Gamble is the leading scorer for this Tampa team, averaging 18.5 points per game. The Spartans were dealt a major blow here at the Thanksgiving tournament here at Eckerd, the Thanksgiving Classic here at Eckerd, as Pat Bacon left early with an injury in the Minnesota-Mankato game and has not returned this season for the Spartans. Gamble has picked up the lion's share of the scoring workload in his senior season.
Well, you look at Anthony Gamble, and he just is explosive. And so you got two really top scorers in the conference facing off tonight. But you also see some other players that really can help bring an advantage, rebound the ball well. Cedric Bellarmine, almost 10 rebounds a game. That's tough to do in this conference. And, rebounding is always an important part. So if Spartans going to steal one, they're going to have to control the glass.
Now we pause for the playing of the national anthem. The national anthem concludes here inside the MacArthur Center. It's time to meet the starting five for each squad, starting with the Tampa Spartans. Coached by Richard Schmidt in his 36th season. He is assisted by Justin Hecka. Freddie Ibrahim, a 6'3 senior out of Ontario, starts in the backcourt for the Spartans. He's joined back there by Devin Coley, 6'1 junior from Las Vegas. Cedric Bellarmine, 6'7 forward up front out of the Congo, compliments Anthony Gamble, the leading scorer, a native of Tampa, a graduate of Newsom High School. And the man in the middle for Tampa is Marco Downer, 6'9 center. He's just a freshman out of Jamaica. And now the starting five for the Eckerd College Tritons. Ryan, what have we got?
At the point guard position, local product, number 3, Marco Baori. He's a 6-foot senior from Seminole High School. At the other guard position, number 4, Marquise Gilbert, a 6'2 junior from Syracuse, New York, through Mohawk Valley Community College. The forward position, number 11, Kiko Stavrev, a 6'8 junior from Sofia, Bulgaria, also through Weber State. At the other forward position, Drushan McLaurin, number 24, a 6'5 senior from Jacksonville, Florida, out of Inglewood High School. And in the post, number 25, Myron Higgins, a 6'7 junior from Ocala Vanguard High School. And, of course, the head coach in his final season, Coach Tom Ryan, assisted by Marcus Chief Bryant and Kendrick Wilson.
The Tritons trying to hold on to that number 3 spot in the Sunshine State Conference standings. They're so key to be in that top 4 spots to get that home field advantage, home court advantage in the quarterfinals of the Sunshine State Conference tournament, but also key to be in those top 3 spots. If you're in that top 3, you win a game or 2 in the conference tournament. That's how you position yourself to grab one of those at-large berths in the NCAA regionals.
And it's such a hard to get enough at-large for each conference. So many conferences, the best way to do it, of course, is your conference tournament win, but being in such a solid Sunshine State Conference, you give yourself that position, and that was a huge win a week ago when the Tritons upset Nova Southeastern. So they've proven that they can be among the best in this conference, but they got to put it together. They got to be consistent, and you can see a couple games. A loss to Lynn at home earlier in the season, of course, on Saturday to Florida Southern. You know, those are two other teams that are right there in the top four, so a lot of season left, but the way you do it is by beating the teams you're supposed to win, and tonight's one of those. They should beat Tampa. They're a better team, but Tampa, don't sleep on them. They can certainly pull an upset. They've got the talent to do it.
Tritons in the steel and teal, and I believe we've had a wardrobe malfunction here as Drushawn McLaurin just went sprinting without his jersey to the locker room. And he is sort of reminiscent of Michael Beasley this past week trying to check into a game with the wrong shorts in the NBA. All suited up now, just about ready to jump it up on James Harley Court.
And those go on the blooper highlights, or do those stay on the, Coach Ryan will probably say he's seen a lot of things, over his course of his tenure. And, that's always interesting. But now the game starts and time to get serious.
Battle for the tip. Hagen's able to knock it away from Downer in the middle. Here's Vaori quickly out. Stavrev, Drushawn on the right side. Hagen's up top. Tampa in man-to-man. Stavrev tries from straight on three and hits it home to open the game.
Great closeout, but he got his feet set, and when you're a shooter and you get your feet set, you don't really see that defense coming out, and a nice finish and great job there by Kiko to get the game started.
We have an injury stoppage, and this is something that Tampa does not want to see. It is Gamble grabbing at the thumb on his left hand. He's going to come out of the game right out of the gate with 19:35 to play here in the first half. Brendan Baker comes on. Last time Eckerd was here at home, it was Stavrev who had the go-ahead three against Rollins on a nifty fake pass to shift the zone away from him before splashing home a go-ahead triple. He opens this game with a three-point try and make for the Tritons.
And you're watching him on the bench, and he's definitely in a lot of pain. And you're wondering if he kind of got jammed on trying to close out there on Kiko on that three-point shot, but that could be a devastating blow here in the early seconds if Gamble can't get back in the game.
Ibrahim hands off to Bellarmine on a drive, ran out of time, pushes up the shot as the shot clock expires. Did not draw iron, didn't get it off anyway. 3-0 Eckerd, and the Tritons take back possession.
That's one of the things that makes the Tritons so good. They're such a good defensive team as well. Defense and rebound. And you can see they took a Nova team that was scoring over 100 points and held them to 71.
Here's an open look, Gilbert. Long, but an offensive rebound for Drushawn McLaurin. They already set up the shot attempt by taking baseline. Now here's Drushawn into the paint, pulls up with a leaner, missed everything out of bounds and over to Tampa.
Rare miss, like in a bad miss. You don't see Drushawn. He's so creative and crafty and how many different release points he has, and got into the lane, and you're not going to see him miss that many shots in that distance.
Ball brought up the court by Colley. Ibrahim looks for him on a back cut. A dribble drive by the freshman center. Lost the basketball initially and then shuffled his feet on the challenge by Kiko Stavrev. Downer looking to be aggressive, and certainly you'd like to see that from a freshman big man, but it was a bit out of his breadth that time.
Great size, great length, but just a little too...
Marco Mahor with a circus shot.
Got cut off, just amazed watching that circus finish by Marco, and he does such a good job getting into the defender to give himself an angle. It's a heck of a finish there.
Ibrahim has a length advantage on Vaori. Here comes a screen by Downer. Hagens recovers against the roll, and he is fronting Downer, who he is giving up 3 inches to down there in the post. 10 to shoot. And a dribble drive under the basket, stepped on the baseline. Colley turns it over to the Tritons, who lead 5-0.
3 straight turnovers for the Spartans, just out of sync. Coach Schmidt, he's off the bench already, showing his frustration at the early stages of the Spartan offense.
Vaori around a screen from Stavrev. Stavrev covered tightly this time by Colley. Gilbert on the left wing steps back into a long three, misses everything. Drushan tried to sneak in there for the offensive rebound, couldn't secure it, out of bounds and over to the Spartans.
Good sign that Gamble's back. Looks like no tape on there, so just had to work that thumb out. A tough shot there, and the Tritons miss an opportunity to get the ball inside. When you're a post player, Myron looked like a great position. You got to try to feed the post.
An athletic move under the basket, pass out to Kali. His next pass toward Ibrahim is smacked up into the air, out of bounds, down in the corner. That's where the Spartans will take it out.
That's what I keep saying. Marquise missed a good look, but if the ball goes inside, then you become a threat. The defense collapse. You're going to open up better angles on the perimeter. The Tritons have got to feed the post when they're open.
Tritons switch on the screen. Ibrahim, Biori on him now as they recover. Ibrahim able to get through the screen this time and splash a three as Hagens and Biori wound up tangled up. And it's 5-3 Eckerd coming down the floor to the offensive end.
And that tangled up just gave them enough space. Not terrible defense to recover, but still too easy at this level. They got to get a little bit cleaner on that hedge, and that's such an important part for the Tritons when they're playing defense, is that hedge screen.
Hagens tries a three. It rolls off. Rebound by the guard, Ibrahim for Tampa. 16:40 to go first quarter. And the Spartans down 5-3, wearing their road reds. Near steal here at midcourt by McLaurin, out of bounds. Stays with Tampa, not quite to the first media timeout.
And it looked like Drushan had his eyes start visioning of a chance to get funky, but just couldn't get that steal. Great job jumping the pass and getting that passing lane.
Gamble guarded by McLaurin, 8 to shoot. Tampa has run a very slow offense here. No look pass over to Colley, tries a three, left wing, missed everything, and McLaurin has the rebound for Eckerd. Biori crosses over into the paint, through contact, off the window, a second circus make for Biori, and this time rewarded for contact. He'll head to the line.
You just look at the way he attacks the basket. So many players try to go into and avoid contact, especially a guard going up against the trees. That time, Marco, you can see he looks for the contact, and almost it gets him balance, and just a great knack for finding the backboard, a great finish.
Makes the free throw. 5 quick points for Marco Biori. 8-3 Eckerd in front of Tampa. Colley guarded by Gilbert. And Marco, a near steal ball, bounces out to us. 15:59 to go. Brings us to the first media timeout. Eckerd up 8-3 on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network.
This is the University of Tampa. Explore your dreams, discover your talents. Get ready to invent, innovate, and be a leader. This is the University of Tampa.
We've got one.
The Eckerd College women's basketball team dropped the first half of this Sunshine State Conference doubleheader, 71-66, despite shooting 9 of 16 from three-point range. The Eckerd men got an early three-point make from Christian Stavrev, and a pair of crazy shots by Marco Biori to take an 8-3 lead into the first media timeout.
The Tritons really doing a good job harassing the Spartans. They haven't really gotten, except for the Ibrahim look from the top of the three. Spartans haven't looked very crisp offensively. Early turnovers, and of course that early injury to Gamble.
Gamble turns it over. Biori came to help after Gamble got by Drushan McLaurin, who cheated out looking for a steal. And now here's McLaurin off the dribble, unable to score. Hagens the offensive rebound. And he tosses it back out. Marco Biori to reset. And Marco gets by Ibrahim, but his pass is off the foot of McLaurin, who then commits a foul diving into Ibrahim, and a bit of a scary collision there as both men go down hard.
Good idea, just couldn't quite get the pass to drop. Good cut. But the active hands again forcing another turnover. That's 4 early turnovers on the Spartans, and that's going to put them up over 20 for the game. Not a recipe for success.
Ibrahim gives it off, quick trigger 3 off the back iron, would not fall for Gamble. Looking for his first points, Drushan is as well. Here's Stavrev, holds the ball high, passes through the hands of Myron Hagens, turned over to Tampa. Spartans down 5, Ibrahim with the basketball. Tries to lob inside, Maori pokes the ball away from Gamble, out of bounds, it stays with the Spartans.
Eckerd substitution. Gianni Daly checking in.
Gianni Daly into the game, replacing Marquise Gilbert. 14:55 to go first half. Tampa, a scoring drought of longer than 2 minutes, but the Tritons haven't exactly come out shooting the lights out either. Drive by Colley, jump stop, scoops and scores, going left to right.
Best look of the night, and they switched the screens that time and created a little bit of a mismatch as Kiko quite couldn't stay with the speed. And a good finish there.
Stavrev, a quick pass off, McLaurin, foul called. And that was some quick ball movement, a good handoff inside by Stavrev. Just handing it to Drushan with a head of steam. And it'll be 2 free throws for one of the top scorers in the Sunshine State Conference.
Drushan, very active. You can see that's another thing that makes the Tritons such a good defensive team, but also Drushan as an offensive player, Marco, you got a lot of active. Their hands are active, their feet are active. They're always getting to 50-50 balls, and when you are winning that advantage, that's such an underrated stat, but when you're winning that, you're just showing that intensity, that aggression. It really makes you a tougher team, and this is why the Tritons have really been one of the best teams in the conference over the last few years. It's just that active footwork and hands that Drushan Marco bring.
2 of 2 at the line for McLaurin, 10-5, Eckerd leading. Tritons show press, but after the inbounds, back out of it in man-to-man. Radoncic in for Stavrev, so this is a big post-heavy lineup for the Tritons, and a late whistle as Maori dislodged the ball. It came into the hands of McLaurin, but a foul called at the last second to prevent the Tritons from getting out on the break.
And it looked like he got ball, but as the ball was moving, he moved up into getting the arm area to really then stifle that pass, and almost another turnover, another steal forced by Marco.
And Downer lost the basketball off of Colley, his teammate, and it's over to Eckerd. Colley lingers to plead his case to no avail.
You know, it's one that you see them plead their case, and rarely do you ever see it change. But once again, another turnover by the Spartans, 5 here early on. The Tritons haven't taken quite the advantage that they probably want to with these early turnovers.
Hagens handles the basketball above the arc, used his dribble. Gets it to Maori through Radoncic. Look away pass, McLaurin crosses over at the left elbow, back, left elbow, jumper, back rim, no, and Downer rips down the board for Tampa.
Nice piece of dribbling and individual skill there, but nice job of the Spartans. They're anticipating where that pass is going to jump in the lane, and it really prevented the dribble handoff and those cuts back at the top. So kind of put the Tritons out of rhythm there. So nice piece of adjustment there by the Spartans defensively.
Downer attempts the long 2, just a step inside the arc, misses everything out of bounds, and with 13:34 to go in the half, the lead remains 10-5 Eckerd.
And you just watch Coach Schmidt, and when he is not happy, he's not a poker player. And Downer with kind of a knuckleball shot, not what Coach Schmidt wanted to have in the offense, and immediately Downer goes to the bench, and Coach Schmidt is going to do some coaching there in a very proximal distance to his players.
Brings Brent Duncan in off the bench. Ball nearly lost in the corner by McLaurin. He's able to dribble out of there. Gets a handoff back from Radoncic. Whips a pass to Maori, who gets his man in the air. Floater, yes! Ring the bell, Marco.
And it starts with a great ball fake. Once again, you get a player to leave their feet. They're really done defensively, and especially with the offensive ability of the Tritons to be able to finish around the basket. Great finish.
12-5 lead for the Tritons. Gamble crosses over, stops right in the lane, fades away, misses everything. It is grabbed on the baseline by Bellarmine, but he had a foot on the baseline. It goes over to the Tritons.
And just a very tough shot. You know, and you know, when you see players who can score in bunches, and Gamble, no doubt, very talented player, you know, what you got to do is you just got to play defense. You got to make them, you know, shooters and not makers, and take a lot of volume shots, be contested, and make them earn every point. And so far the Tritons have done that, and that's just not a good shot in the flow.
Biori, Daly, Radoncic, Stavrev, and Shaq Harris, the 5 on the floor now. Daly look away to Biori, 3 in the air, 3 in the net. Marco Biori is red hot. Was there double figures already?
Was there any doubt as soon as he let that was going to go in? He right now is locked in, and he right now is just, and you could just tell when he's locked in, the confidence he plays with, especially on the perimeter, just increases.
15-5 lead for Eckerd, and a pass over everyone across the far sideline back over to the Tritons.
And you start watching the body language. You start watching Coach Schmidt, very demonstrative type coach, and you start seeing the bench. They're kind of out of it, and right now nothing's going their way, and this is how you can see Tampa now having a 3-6, 9-8 record, is just because they get down early, and their whole body language kind of just checks out.
Radoncic just barrels over Duncan, lays it up and in, wave it off though. An offensive foul called against Admir Radoncic.
You're never going to get away with 3 bangs into the chest. You're going to get called. That's an easy call. Radoncic has got to know that he's got to try to move away or make the defense move, but going straight into his chest 3 times, almost always going to be an automatic charge.
11:50 to go in the first half, 15-5, Eckerd leading. We'll step aside on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network.
See who can make a layup.
So, Audrey, such a nice day. So warm today.
So beautiful.
So how are your classes going?
Good. Are you ready for the test?
Aiming for C+, but I think I'd go in there.
I can't believe what's going to get me.
Yeah.
Picking 7.
7 is wow.
$11.50 to go in the first half. Eckerd with a win tonight potentially could find themselves in second place in the Sunshine State Conference if Barry defeats Lynn. Lynn currently in second place at 7-2, Eckerd in third at 6-3. Tampa with the basketball, down by 10. Ibrahim guarded by Daly. Bellarmine with a touch, now 3 in the air, right wing, comes off the mark. Gamble still looking for his first points.
Well, set play out of timeout. Good execution, got a good look, just couldn't get it to drop.
Bailey finds Radoncic. Travel called this time. So a couple rough possessions for Admir down low.
And it's a good piece of officiating. The lead official responsible to look for the restricted line, he called a charge because he was inside the semicircle, but then you got the sideline official who's watching the catch, and you know, he looked like he shuffled, couldn't quite get that 1-2 step, and kind of took a little extra half step. I like what they're looking for, and a good roll to the basket. The Tritons have been able to execute pretty effectively here in the last 3 minutes offensively.
Treshawn McLaurin checks back into the game and waves for the defense to come up and press. 11:15 to go in this half.
They're trying to set a flare screen, get some shots going for Gamble. So you can see 22.
Colley on the drive here against Damian Gordon. Off the front rim, Radoncic cleans the glass for Eckerd.
You can see Brent Duncan not really in there. He's 22, not in there for shots. He's in there to try to free up his shooters. Ibrahim, and he set 3 screens on that possession, but a good job by the Tritons keeping their head on a swivel, seeing both ball and man and communicating. If you watch Duncan, 22, you'll see really his job is to try to free up his shooters and try to just back screen and off-ball screens.
Gordon fakes the pass in left, then comes back to the right to Daly. And Higgins missed short, gets his own miss, missed again under the basket. Foul called on the floor under the 10.
And that's a great roll. Daly just threw it to the spot right even before Higgins rolled to the basket. A nice piece of execution. Couldn't quite get it to fall, but just good individual two-man games you're seeing in just different sets and different wrinkles the Trojans are throwing.
Gordon bounces it in. McLaurin with 2 bodies around him, hands out. Gordon, guarded by Colley, around the arc, right to left. 15-5 lead for Eckerd in the corner. Higgins throws it back out top. Daly tries to force the issue, gets it up onto the glass, off the rim. Rebounded by Duncan for Tampa. Here's Colley. Stavrev pops out on him. Gamble, NBA range, no. Battle for the rebound down low. And it is out of bounds. It is over to Eckerd. Gilbert checks back in, sends Daly to the bench.
For the depth, you also see that's another thing that gives the Tritons such an advantage. They can go 10 deep pretty easily.
Gordon turns it over, trying to whip a pass back out to Gilbert. Ibrahim, who got the steal on the break, one-handed pass to Gamble, thinks better of putting up the long 3 this time. Midway through this first half, Tampa still only with 5 points. On the drive, Colley, a wall between him and the rim, got it back, Downer, dropped the pass, but then gets it back, goes up and flushes a two-handed jam. 15-7.
Easy finish for Downer on that last play. Gordon drove, and Gilbert came up a little too high. You got to be in the baseline and more in the corner.
Myron Higgins missed the initial attempt, misses the putback as well. He's trying to find his first points of the game. 15-7, Tampa another chance to cut into the lead. Colley almost lost the handle, hands it back out, long 3, well short and into the hands of Gilbert. That was another 3-point try by Gamble. Here's Gilbert handling, angles into the paint, Higgins for 3, yes!
He's probably saying that's a bigger relief. He missed a couple bunnies, but very active, and once again, kind of trailing on the play, a little drive and pop, and leading the team in 3-point field goal percentage. That's an easy shot for Myron.
11-point lead for Eckerd, 18-7, 8:45 to go in the half. Ibrahim weaves out top, fakes the handoff to Gamble, steps back for a high-arcing triple off the left side of the rim and into the hands of Stavrev. Whistle stops play. And
well, smart coaching there by Coach Ryan. He doesn't get a timeout. He says, my guy's injured. It looks like Gordon got shaken up a little bit there. And he was able to get a sub in by the dead ball. So without using a timeout, noticing and having a management of what his players are and where they're doing.
Fiore back in, bounces in, and McLaurin blocked from behind by Downer, pinning the ball into the rim. Jump ball gives it over to Tampa, and Downer, certainly an intriguing player for this Tampa team. The 6'9" freshman from Jamaica hasn't always done good things at each end of the court in this game, but he's done good things and interesting ones even when they haven't been good, like attempting that jumper from 18 feet earlier.
You can just see he's raw. Getting minutes is going to be he's a freshman, and just really giving him the opportunity to grow. And that time he challenged one of the best players in the league and won.
Here's Gilbert going the length of the floor, no. Drushawn gets it, missed off the front of the rim. A mad scramble, trapped down by Biori. Under 8 minutes to go here. Sloppy play on both sides. A rip through by Gilbert, steps into a baseline J. No, tipped around, out of bounds, stays with Eckerd. And the Tritons will have it after the media timeout with 7:50 to go in the half. 18-7 Eckerd on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network.
So, Audrey,
Thank you, love.
such a nice day. So warm
I
today.
know, it's so beautiful.
So how are your classes going?
Good. You ready?
We have a first 12 minutes plus here inside the MacArthur Center. 18-7, Eckerd leading, and with the basketball. These two teams, Eckerd and Tampa, have combined to miss 17 of their last 19 attempts.
And there have been some good looks in it. Just right now trying to feel each other
Myron
out.
Hagan straight on, his second triple connects.
And that's an easy shot straight on twice now, wide open. And you look at the shots, of the last 3 shots both teams have made, 2 of them have been from 3 from Myron.
21-7, and Downer, there he gets caught in the air, stolen by McLaurin in the open court, and loses his handle. He has to pull it out between the circles.
And good job by Duncan, kind of making him turn. It looked like he was going to get beat on the speed, but he forced him to turn.
Myron is all by himself and didn't realize it. Misses the lefty hook near the rim. He slipped to the bucket off the pick and roll and didn't realize that Downer was on the other side of the lane.
And that hesitation allowed Downer to get back in and make a presence, alter the shot.
Duncan does nothing with the basketball. Downer stuck out there behind the arc. There's a 5-second count initiated here, and it's at 4, and that's 5. Downer didn't realize the 5-second call was taking place. Hagan's just draped up on him, forces another Tampa turnover.
Number 30, Armin.
That is 9 turnovers now by the Spartans. Armin Radoncic checks into the game for the Tritons, and Myron Hagens. Hagens actually stays out there. Stavrev will get a breather. Cross-court pass to Gilbert. Deshaun McLaurin is 0 of 5 from the floor. There's pass there, wide of Gilbert, midway through the shot clock, 6.5 to play in the half. Hagens thought about another 3-point try, thinks better of it. Yeah, and Gilbert, you call it a carry or a walk, either one, and he turns it over down in the right corner.
He had the pullback step back and realized he had the defender on his heels, but tried to stick that hand to get a quick little rhythm. Couldn't quite get away with it, but you can see the talent he has just on an individual basis of dribbling the ball and creating space for him.
Step back for Colley, hits the 3.
Three-pointer. Devon.
That's got to feel good. They're only down 11, playing really a tough half.
Biori with a head of steam and forces contact. No one stopped ball as he came up the near side. He just slammed on the accelerators and went right to the rim. Duncan commits the personal foul. 2 free throws coming.
That's just, that's mental mistakes, and, that's what separates a team that's at the top of the conference or the middle to the bottom is you don't get back on defense, you don't stop ball. You're allowing one of the quickest players in the conference get a full head of steam to get to the basket. And once again, that's a breakdown of communication. And I don't want to harp on it, but you always just see very demonstrative theatrics and the players completely kind of disengaged from their body language, and I think that ties into some of the mental mistakes.
1 of 2 at the line for Biori. Shaq Harris and Gianni Daly back into the game for the Tritons. Fiore, Harris, Daly, McLaurin, Radoncic, the 5 on the floor. Patterson thought about the 3, started to drive, 8 to shoot here, Gamble with it. He's still scoreless, gives it up. Duncan doesn't want to shoot a 3. Colley just made one, attempts a real long one, no. And Daly able to grab the rebound after the seal off by Harris.
Great box out. And nice job of defense there.
Harris keeps it moving after getting the ball from Fiore. Back cut, Shaq Harris, an easy soft lay-in over the lip of the rim. Sometimes he gets on his pogo stick there, decided to take the sure finish.
A nice job, just kind of a slash cut after the screen to the basket, and a good pass by Radoncic.
24-10, and there's a steal by Daly, tosses it over the top to Sean McLaurin, lobs it up, and Shaq Harris, a little showtime for the Tritons. It's 26-10.
I thought once again it was going to get a little creative there, a little funky, but Gamble once again grabbing his thumb, and something's not right with that thumb. She's trying to play through it, and I give him credit for that. But he got hit again on that, and you get that thumb injury, whether it's up in the knuckles, it's a jam, a sprain. I mean, that can be very painful, especially if it's a shooting hand. And it really hurts the release and the ability to really kind of catch that basketball. So keep an eye on that. And 16-point lead now, and Tampa's going to have to dig down and find something that hasn't been there consistently all season to try to get back in this half.
Tritons lead 26-10. Here's Colley on the drive, able to draw contact, and will head to the free throw line for a pair.
And Colley, real good job. I like the aggressive take. I would like to see Shaq kind of take that one last slide over and try to take that charge. Instead, he reached. And by reaching, that kind of just, opened up that driving lane, and a good job by Colley. He's been kind of the only consistent presence offensively for the Spartans so far.
Colley knocks down the first free throw. He has a half dozen of the 11 Tampa points. Eckerd is only shooting 36% from the floor, but they are just beating Tampa up on the boards. Plus 10 in rebounding, including 7 more offensive rebounds than the Spartans.
When you look at that, I mean, that is a big part of their game, the rebounding, and they have one of the top rebounding margins in the conference. But to just see 8-1, that's a combination of technique, that's a combination of hustle, that's a combination of grit and just that want. And rebounding teams are just tenacious. They have that kind of that want.
And McLaurin wave off the bucket, called for a travel before shooting the leaner. 4:27 to go in the half. Tritons lead 26-12. Eckerd still a bit sloppy themselves. I mentioned 36% from the floor and also 6 assists against 7 turnovers. Meanwhile, the Spartans do not have an assist in this game and have turned it over 10 times. And they are trying to initiate their offense from a long way from the bucket. Fiore with a steal on the baseline, surveying the floor as he motors ahead. The floor is spaced. Daly steps into a 3. Back rim, no. And that time Duncan able to box out Radoncic and get the rebound. Colley between the legs, backs it out around the screen from Duncan. Nothing doing there. Steps up into a 3, no. And Shaq Harris has the easy board. 3:45 to go in the half.
And Tritons have a chance to get this closer to 20. There's not a lot of scoring punch right now for the Spartans, and Tritons just got to think run their stuff and try to get a shot. A little rushing some things.
Fiore thinks about the 3, instead goes to the basket, and his pass to Radoncic a bit low and bounces out of bounds down in the corner over to Tampa. 3:23 to go in the half. Final media timeout of the first half as we step aside with the Tritons up 14 on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network.
This is the University of Tampa. Explore your dreams. Discover your talents. Get ready to invent, innovate, and be a leader. This is the University of Tampa.
26-12, Eckerd leading the University of Tampa. 3:22 to go in the half. Tampa with the basketball and their road Reds attacking the right end of the floor. Pretty much all the offense has been Colley. He gives it up here, though, over to Whitaker. Comes right back to him. Colley now with a screen from Whitaker, elects not to use it. Wilson on the dribble drive into a crowd, and a foul called. Higgins is up in the air before the Spartans driver arrived.
Doug Williams, a freshman from Jacksonville, getting a little action here early and just a little too open on his defensive stance on that closeout. Gave up that that driving lane towards the basket. Really put him in a spot where the only thing he could do was foul.
Williams played some critical minutes very early this season when Eckerd was befallen with injuries and illness right around Thanksgiving. Williams helped close out the game against Mankato. A pair of misses at the free throw line, but an offensive rebound for Tampa. Inside, Duncan able to score.
A good finish, good pass inside, and finish amongst three players there, so Duncan getting some points.
Shaq Harris over to Daly. McLaurin not on the floor right now for the Tritons. Fiore gives it off to Doug Williams. 10 on the shot clock. Here's Daly, crosses over, gets to the free throw line, gets into the lane, zips it back out. Williams, step back three, no. And the rebound grabbed by Colley. Devon Colley from the free throw line, passes left, comes back to him, out beyond the arc. Hagan switched on to him. Now a double team comes on the baseline and a turnover in the middle of the court. Shaq Harris with a head of steam. All the way to the rim, a finger roll up and in.
Great body control. He just went right around the defender, finished right over. He jumped so well. And just easy finish right over the top, coast to coast for Shaq Harris. A great piece of athleticism there.
28-14, Daly with a steal out front. 3-on-2. And here is Harris, gives it up inside. The only block from behind. We'll head to the free throw line. Coach Ryan telling Shaq Harris, that's the one. Go ahead and put him on a poster. You know, didn't need the extra pass that time.
Sometimes you like the unselfishness, but at this level, you can certainly overpass, and really didn't give the ball in a good position. And I think just with his ability to finish, you love the unselfishness, but you're right, finish it. You just go up there and throw it down and, give the fans what they want.
Meanwhile, Marco now with a dozen points, make it 13. He's 4 of 4 from the floor, 1 of 1 from 3, 4 of 5 at the charity stripe.
He's trying to beat and outscore Tampa just on his own.
Marco Biori 13, Tampa 14. The Tritons leading by 16. Here's Ibrahim, guarded out top by Gilbert. And Higgins comes up to challenge. Gilbert a near steal. Inside Duncan. Off the foot of Harris, and the freshman Williams nearly able to keep it in bounds, diving there toward the sideline.
And just, you can see the energy. There's Doug Williams. He's got two leaders come over and pick him up.
Ibrahim, and again, Higgins pops out helping on him. Cross-court pass, lefty three-point try, splashed home by Baker.
Ibrahim, nice eyes, and he's made some good looks, looking off the defense and open up some shot opportunities for his teammates.
Daly crosses over, long two from straight on, buries it. 32-17, final minute of the first half. Ibrahim dribbles across the timeline, and Tampa uses their use it or lose it 30-second timeout. The Tritons up by 15, trying to hold Tampa under 20 for the half. Tritons have also had the opportunity to get some of the young players some run in the early going here, as Eckerd has already run 11 deep in this first half. So has Tampa, but not necessarily by choice.
And they've just been out of sync all day. Tampa has, and just nothing's been easy. And had a couple good looks. Colley's done a good job trying to get to the basket and try to generate some offense, but almost from the get-go, from the jump, seeing Gamble go off the bench off the floor to the bench with a hand injury, and now he's icing it, and it's almost kind of like the wind out of their sails. And it's a tough thing, when you have one of your best players go out like that and becomes ineffective. But it's an opportunity for other players to step up, and we just haven't seen that yet tonight for Tampa.
Duncan behind the three-point arc. His back cut pass to Ibrahim. Tip. Here's a dribble drive by Wilson. Foul called, and that will send Tyler Wilson to the free throw line. He has already missed a pair. Meanwhile, Doug Williams called for his second personal. First free throw, friendly bounce. 32-18.
Trines most likely will just try to run their offense.
Second is good as well.
So Tampa will have a chance to get over 20. But I mean, they got to feel good. Eckerd does, holding them to less than a point a minute.
Daly around the screen from Harris. Gives it back up to Shaq, who fakes a whip pass down to Hagens. Myron pops out, thinks about the three. Daly, the Tampa defense collapsing. There's Williams with a nice move, draws the foul. And he kept a slick handle there, Doug Williams did, to draw that contact.
Tremendous athleticism, great spin, and great body control. And you can see very much another athletic player, long, rangy, and he's got a huge wingspan, and you can see the type of players that Coach Ryan has brought in. They've got some similarity. He's kind of like a young Shaq Harris in terms of the length and his athleticism.
I was just thinking, whoever succeeds Coach Ryan next year is going to have a couple fun, long defenders to plant out there and harass opposing guards. 2 of 2 at the free throw line for Williams. And that extends the lead back to 15. Eckerd uses their use it or lose it timeout to get set up defensively for this final 19.9.
I'd expect some maybe full court pressure here, make them try to go the length of the court, take some seconds off, and really try to turn them a few times and make them get out of rhythm. If you Trians are going to really put some pressure on Ibrahim and Kali, and hope that they have to give up the ball and give it to someone who's not quite as successful in terms of just scoring the basketball, but really just, two players there, Wilson and Ibrahim. Kali's on the bench, but Wilson who are capable. So you can see that. They're going to try to turn them. They want to get them into their offense under 8. Tampa wants to go about 9. See if they're able to do that.
Ibrahim gets it across. Under 10 seconds now to go in the half. Crosses over, gets by Gilbert. Hagen's there to help. Tosses it back out. Whitaker, a foul called. Hate to see that. 1-and-1 going to be coming here.
Coach Ryan frustrated there because they did exactly what they wanted. You saw the ball got out of Ibrahim's hand. Now you're in, certainly, I think Coach Ryan will take it with Whitaker in the ball and Gilbert fouls, and now it's a one-on-one situation.
Free throw good. Trims the lead to 14. This is a game we thought could be a scoring battle between Drushawn McLaurin and Anthony Gamble. 2 total points between them. Second free throw, good as well. Tampa down 13. Harris gets it in. Gilbert, one dribble, long pass. Hagens cannot get the shot off. And so Eckerd heads to the locker room ahead 34-21 over the Spartans.
Well, if you're Eckerd, it's probably a little disappointed that you only have a 13-point lead at this point, considering how well you played defensively, dominating, forcing, 13 turnovers in the first half, out rebounding them 19-11. But the Trians got to get a little bit more efficient and more effective in their execution on the offensive side. They shot the ball at only 38%. But, they certainly look to have total control here, and, it'll be interesting how both the coaches go in and address their teams, especially in a lopsided, what feels like even more lopsided game.
Tampa made only 6 field goals in that first half. Eckerd leads 34-21. Marco Biori with 13 points to lead all scorers as we step aside here at the half on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network.
So, Audrey,
Kayla.
such a nice day, huh? So warm today.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
So how are your classes going?
Good. Are you ready for the test?
Aiming for C++, but I think I'll get it right.
I can't believe it's
Yeah, yeah.
picking 7.
7 is wow.
This is the University of Tampa. Explore your dreams. Discover your talents. Get ready to invent, innovate, and be a leader. This is the University of Tampa.
72 seconds to play, and to the chagrin of the fans in attendance, Armin Radoncic's three-point shot has been switched to a 2. So it is 67-54, not 68-54. And also the Tritons have only 7 three-pointers, and thus the free dominoes promotion is not in effect. A short time remaining for that to be activated here as a drive, blocking foul, bucket good for Wilson.
Found the basket for Tyler Wilson.
A good finish. I mean, he's attacked the basket pretty well. Wilson's been another bright spot
Second foul, number 30.
here in the second half. You know, he's taking advantage of some opportunities. A big three just a few possessions ago, and then a nice finish there in traffic and making the contact.
Free throw, too strong, collected by Colley. 11-point game, turned over off the fingertips of Downer. That pass, too much mustard on it. Tampa does press up. Fiore cross court to Daly, over the top, Deshaun, 2-on-1. Backs it back out, though. The clock is Eckerd's friend.
You're not going to see a whole lot more shots here.
And in fact, another turnover.
And that might be it. Depends on.
Off the mark on the three. Eckerd can't quite run it out, but that's okay. They turn it over. Another three, and it is buried by Colley. Timeout Tampa, as the Spartans have cut it to 8 with 31.8 seconds remaining. So the Spartans just won't quite go away here, as they have given themselves one last gasp of life. 18 turnovers for the Tritons, and Coach Ryan is going to be putting his team through their paces to clean that up in time for Saturday's game against Florida Tech.
You know, this is, and they have a stretch here where they can really kind of make sure that they establish themselves. So you do want to have a clean finish to this game, and it's just been a rough all-around game. You're going to have those. It's been good that their defense has been there, but they've got another winnable game with Florida Tech, who's last in the conference. Once again, the margin is not that much when you look at the records, 1-8, 7-10 overall, but still, they've got to make sure they're playing better, especially with some other tough games coming up here in the next few weeks.
Daly is fouled. It is double bonus time. 2 free throws coming.
It looks like, I mean, in this region right now, you've got probably the top 4 that right now are fighting for positions, and usually you don't see 4 teams make the NCAA tournament, especially 3 at-large birds from the same conference. You know, you're vying for that 8 spots in the region. 2 are certainly going to be in, the conference winner and 1 at-large, and you often have seen 3 from the Sunshine State Conference. So, you know, these games now in January and February when the regional rankings come out become very crucial, and so you got to make sure you take care of business on the home court and against teams you should beat. And so, you know, looks like they're going to finish today, I would say this night, but they've got a winnable game on Saturday, and they've got to make sure they don't come in and try to clean up some of the missed, you know, the turnovers and sloppiness that they came with tonight.
Hagan secures the rebound, and one would think Tampa will call the dogs off here. McLaurin in the front court.
Fans are going to be I have seen a shot go up in this type of game, and Coach Ryan, about as angry as I've ever seen him in his coaching career.
So 69, Tampa 59, the final score. The fans who came after the women's game miss out on the pizza, but the Tritons improved to 14-4, 7-3 in conference play. And with Barry leading Lynn late, now in Boca, a chance for Eckerd to potentially move into second place in the Sunshine State Conference standings.
That'll be a big stretch here. You got to win games, you know, that you have coming up, and they've got a stretch with, like we said, Florida Tech on Saturday, and then you've got St. Leo before a huge crucial matchup against Lynn on February 2nd. You want to try to steal that one back. and steal one on their home court. But a lot of basketball left. You don't want to get too far right now. You got to come back to practice tomorrow, Friday, try to get better, get ready to win on Saturday, and take one game at a time tonight. Not a really great performance and execution, but good enough to win. Defensively, nice job, forced a lot of turnovers. And, when you don't play your best and still get a W, that's a good sign in this conference.
No question who the player of the game was in this one. Marco Biori with 18 points on 5 of 6 shooting from the floor. 2 of 2 from 3, 6 of 7 at the free throw line. 5 rebounds, 8 assists, and 5 steals. Biori stuffing the stat sheet for the Tritons tonight.
An outstanding and solid game right from the get-go. Jumped on it, shot tremendously, but once again, just look at the other stats. Take away his shooting and just watch what else he did. 8 assists, 5 steals, 5 rebounds. He is that player that does everything, and it's nice to know that when they're not playing their best offense, you still have these senior leaders putting in a good game to keep them and get them over the hump and for a W.
Other Tritons in double figures. Sean McLaurin wound up with a dozen. Myron Hagens had 11. And Shaq Harris, a new career high, getting into double figures with 10. One last time, the final score, Eckerd 69, Tampa 59. For Ryan Halstead, I'm Nate March. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. This has been a live presentation of the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network. Have a good night.